It is June 9th, 2017. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. Some issues that I've been kind of sitting back, keeping an eye on, and for the most part, keeping my mouth shut. You learn much, much more in life with a closed mouth, an open mind, and open ears than walking into a situation and just trying to take control for whatever self reasons you have. I don't know. But you know, the thing of it is there is a great divide that is being put upon the people of this nation. And I'm seeing it happen in almost every area, every group, every lifestyle. I've been blessed with many different friends, with many different views and aspects and opinions. Thankfully, not a lot of them are overbearing with them. But here's the thing, okay? And I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction, but it'll come back full circle. So there was a shooting today in Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay? And I'll read the story real quick here. Let me drag it over to a screen. I don't have a microphone in front of me. And as it says, deputy police officer kill a man at Tulsa convenience store. 2 deputies and a Tulsa police officer shot and killed a man in Tulsa Friday morning. The We the People Oklahoma advocacy group identified the man as Joshua Anthony Barr. Police have not confirmed his identity, but said the man who was shot was 29. It happened at the Super Stop convenience store at 46th Street North and MLK about 10 a.m. Tulsa police officer Leland Ashley said the incident began earlier in the morning when Tulsa County deputies went to a house to serve a civil pickup order. Ashley said it was a mental health pickup order and a judge would have signed it so that the officers could take the man to a mental health facility. Ashley said the man left the house and went to the convenience store armed with 2 knives and that police received at least 2 911 calls about him. Police say the deputies and the officer shot the man as he tried to enter the store because there were people inside. EMSA took the man to a hospital where the doctor pronounced him dead. Don't really need to go any further into this. You get the idea. You probably already have an idea where I'm going with this. This is insane, folks. This is insane. Us, are just like little target practice. That's all we are, is little paper targets to these scumbags. I get the man was armed with a couple of knives. I get that, right? I also know the difference between a knife and a gun. And I also know that if you're going to get me with that knife, you either better be damn good at throwing it or you better be close enough, okay? So if you're not within arm's reach of me, I don't care if you have 10 knives. You're not threatening me. It's that simple. You're not a threat to me because you are not within striking distance unless you're good at throwing knives. The point of it is they are pulling their weapons and they are just indiscriminately firing. And I don't know how many rounds were shot off this time. I'm waiting to hear that. But here's the thing, right? The guy's walking into a convenience store full of people. So he's at the door walking in, right? At the door of the building, walking into the building, and they open fire on him. They are damn lucky that an innocent civilian wasn't inside that store and got struck by one of their rounds, like happens in other cases. This is sick. It's disgusting, and it's got to stop. The man was distraught. The last thing he needs is some jackboots going to talk to him about the situation. The last thing that somebody in distress needs is someone in authority telling them what to do. Okay? Because it's human nature. It's our mental nature to rebel that, to reject that. Okay? Because our minds are very good at protecting themselves, especially when it comes to mental things. And, you know, I've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. And this is one we can't put a race on, folks. I see more white people, unarmed or if you want to call with a knife armed. I don't call having a knife armed. I'm sorry, that's not armed. Okay, that's a knife. That's not a gun. And unless you're really, really good at throwing it at like 300 feet per second, it's still a knife. But the thing of it is, back in the day, years ago, when there was an issue like this, they wouldn't come out guns blazing, okay? They would come out and they would talk to the individual. And 99.9% of the time, the individual would wind up admitting themselves in the mental health facility and seeking the help that they needed, okay? We didn't need a bunch of gung-ho, steroid-abusing jackboots, all right, to deal with the mental health issue in this country. That is the last ones you want to deal with a mental health issue. You want to know how stupid that is? Seriously, I'm going to give you an analogy. That would like take somebody that is scared of water, right? And placing them as lifeguard at the public pool. That'd be pretty stupid, right? And that's about as stupid as giving somebody Israeli military training and then having them go deal with somebody with mental health issues. It's literally that ignorant. Okay, now let's switch gears to some other ignorance that I've been observing, and this is the part that I've really been kind of holding my mouth shut on because I don't do drama. Brand Thornton posted yesterday just a simple little post, and it says, "I believe flying the flag inverted is compatible with both the spirit intended and the letter of the code." There has been this huge argument over this flag thing over the last week or 2 weeks. And people are absolutely losing their minds over this. Meanwhile, by the way, the Hammonds are still rotting away in prison. Meanwhile, by the way, the Bundys are still being tortured while waiting for their trial, their second trial, because that's real constitutional. All right? And you got people out here that are too busy arguing about a piece of cloth. Now, I know a lot of people go, "Oh, it's no piece of cloth. Oh, red, white, and blue. Oh, my God, what am I going to..." Wake up. That's an idolatry. That's all that is. That is idolatry. Pure, simple idolatry. You know what I would rather have than a pretty flag? A pretty country. Okay? And I will stand up and I will defend that flag, right? But I will defend it from its real enemies, not somebody that hangs it upside down, right? What about all the jerks in suits that are running this country into the ground? What about all the corporations that are poisoning us, right? Oh no, we choose your battles. Let's fight this battle about the flag because we're whatever. Time we wake up, people. It's time we grow up. We're about to lose it all. We are literally about to lose it all. And how did they steal it from us? This right here. By all this stupid drama. If they can get people to argue over which way they should fly a flag or what that means or whether they served or what the hell, right? And all at the same time attacking someone by the name of Gavin's son. Now, you should all know by now, I don't fly flags myself. And I don't buddy up with anything but God and the truth. And, don't get me wrong. I've got friends and stuff like that. But, I know where my priorities lie. God first. God first. And with God automatically comes truth. All right? And everything else falls into place after that. Okay? Including country, fellow countrymen and women. And, it just, it's pretty clear to me, but that's because I use those guidelines. So here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing that I want to kind of ring some bells here. Not the ones that you probably heard going off, by the way. So let's think about this for a second. You got somebody out there that people are really coming down hard on because he's outspoken, he's brazen, and he has no problem standing toe-to-toe and saying how he feels, saying how this country is supposed to be. Now you've got half of the Patriot movement attacking a true patriot, right? For what? For idolatry. Most of it, idolatry. Okay? Others of it, probably just personality conflict. Some people don't like brazen people like that. I'm not a real huge big fan of brazen people like that. But when it comes to dealing with these jackboots and this government, you better believe I'll stand behind somebody brazen like that. In a heartbeat. Okay? So, when everybody's dissing on Gavin Syme for how he handled many of the different situations there, I want you to think of two things. Number one, who is it that Ammon continues to call? A lot of loudmouth people about this situation out there, and I don't see Ammon calling them. I see Ammon calling Gavin. Okay, number two. Why is Ammon, and the rest of them, I don't mean to single out anyone in particular, it's not my intent. Why are they sitting in a jail, in a prison, awaiting trial? Oh, yeah, the Bundy standoff. The Bundy standoff, where both federal agents and civilians both had firearms in what I would say is pretty much a standoff. Now, I wouldn't call what happened in Oregon a standoff. That wasn't a standoff. But what happened in Bunkerville, I would say that ventures towards the standoff direction without a doubt. Now, here's the thing, right? People are actually being hard on a guy because of what he says, right? Which those words that come out of his mouth are not anything as jaw-dropping as what the Bundys rightfully did in Bunkerville. Now, note that I rightfully did. They had their constitutional right. Look, I looked into this a long time ago. I'm not gonna put myself behind somebody that hasn't done what they need to do. Somebody, I'm not that dumb. And they did everything they could do. They did absolutely everything they could do, and the government would not address its grievances. So what do you do next? Well, I think they had a pretty good idea, and I think they done a pretty good job of it. But here's the thing. There's still this division, right? There's still this division. And unless we can let go of our ego and our pride, okay, and learn that, your favorite color might not be blue and my favorite color might not be red, and that's just okay, right? Because I'm serious. That's how this whole thing seems at this point. I mean, I'm waiting for them to start putting a nail in the wall, 2 nails in the wall with a washer on each one, so that we can each take it to go to the bathroom, right? That's what they did in kindergarten here. I don't know what they do other places, but, that's almost what it feels like here, right? Folks, I'm telling you, this Patriot movement is crawling with people that don't have good intentions, okay? And it's probably the ones that are being pointed at right now, and it being said that they're not with good intentions. Yeah, I think people would be shocked. And I don't know anything in particular. I don't have any inside information. I've just been born, a little bit beyond last night. Okay, so I've been around, seen things. I'm pretty good at spotting things, and I think people would be shocked. I think I've picked out 2, possibly 3, without a doubt. And but I keep that to myself. Why? Because I have nothing to support that other than my opinion, and I'm mature enough to know that my opinion is my opinion. It's my opinion, not yours, and it's not my job to change your opinion. It's kind of one of those things. That's the problem that we have in this country right now. We've got a country full of dictators. Yes, we do. An entire country full of dictators. Everybody in this country wants to be in control. It's insane. It's insane. We have to drop that ego. We have to drop that pride. And we have to learn that, we there's a much bigger, more important objective here than trying to argue over which way to hang a flag. Okay, my response, by the way, I'll read my response. My response to that was, I believe most of this division was not by chance, and that there are individuals sent with the mission of causing as much divide as possible and provoking people to team up against certain parties that are probably the most dangerous to the agenda of our government. A flag won't wave without wind, and freedom cannot grow without patriots that at sometimes have to say some hurtful truths or make others understand the true reality we live in or the actions we have to take to fix it. I don't know about all of you, but I couldn't sleep at night knowing I sold out my children's lives because I didn't have the balls to do what's right. If you feel you should have the right to control another person or their actions, especially when it doesn't directly impact your life, not the reality world life most live in today, then you are the problem. The only liberty is individual liberty, not mob mentality liberty that they have this society conned into believing is freedom. Freedom is much more than 200 choices of what cereal to eat for breakfast. And that was my response to that, which was supporting what Brand Thornton was saying, but I was just going into a little more detail about it. We're in a bad spot, folks. We're in a bad spot. And the way that I see these two things being related here is we are never going to stop these killings, these murders. Let me re-say that. We are never going to stop these murders. We're never going to stop the murderers until we can get along well enough to be able to talk to one another. And that's the problem. Right now, we don't have people talking to each other. We have people talking at each other. Okay? Look, folks, I want this to just go away. Right? I want all this military training of the police. I want all the... if I could snap my fingers and make it disappear, I would. Right? But I can't. Neither can you. But what we can do is put aside our differences long enough to understand that what is going on is an epidemic, an absolute epidemic. And once you come to that realization, and once you come to the realization that you're actually going to have to do something to fix the problem, then you might understand where Gavin Syme comes from. But see, he's already been through all that. I know I've already been through all that. I get it. And I'm not a leader. I'm not out there. I'm not going to start nothing. I'm not... that's not my job, right? I think we all have jobs under God, and my job is not to be a martyr. Not maybe in that sense. Maybe in a sense of being able to put truth out there, be able to put some puzzle pieces together for everybody. But, to be Rambo, no, that no. But, this is what it's going to take. And we can't achieve this. Without working with one another. And if we're too busy arguing about whether or not this guy, the police had the right to shoot and kill this guy, or whether or not, this or that, or whether the guy had for supper last night, whatever, if we can't stop arguing about the stupid things, then the serious things are going to take over. And that's what we're having happen right now. We can't even get a good conversation hardly going amongst citizens of this country anymore, simply if the name Trump is brought up, or the name Hillary is brought up, or because the moment you bring up them names, it's like it's keywords, and people just go ape crazy on one another, right? Now, we're talking about people that in person would be very soft-spoken, very, I'm not saying submissive or anything like that, but what I'm saying is you've got a lot of keyboard warriors out there, right, that aren't going to know the first thing of what the hell to do when the lights go out. And I still believe they're going to go out, and I don't think we're far from it. But we better get our acts together. We have to get, we have to remove ourselves from giving ourselves a prostate exam. I'm trying to come up with a nicer way of saying get our heads out of our butts. And we got to fix this. But we have to actively do it. What do we, people, what do you mean by that? What do you mean actively do it? That means do it in any other way besides sitting behind a keyboard, right? If that's, grabbing a few friends together and going to your local not courthouse, but, the state capitol, sorry, the Capitol building in your respective states, or whatever the case, that's still not going to achieve nothing, by the way. Still not going to achieve nothing. The only thing we can do at this point, though, with as scattered as what the individuals are in this country, is we can at least start getting together, and that would be at places like Capitol buildings and whatnot, to where we can start an open, honest discussion. Okay, but it's got to start there. We've got to stop trying to find reasons to divide ourselves from one another and divide others from others, and we have to start worrying about our main focuses, and prepping, the rules of threes. You hear it all the time. I typically don't repeat them because everybody else does, right? But you can't live past 3 seconds without air. You can't, I can't remember it all. 3 minutes without air, I think it is. But anyway, you get the gist, right? Well, it's the same thing with all this. We have to set up some. We have to start communicating with one another in a positive manner moving forward. Because if we don't, we lost before we even started, and that's kind of where we're standing at right now. I'm very afraid that's where we're standing at. But if you'll notice, and again, this is why these two things all, I understand this post that Brand Thornton made and my reply and this news story are an entire spectrum apart from one another, but at the same time, they are part of the same problem, right? And, what really bothers me in this country is something like this can happen, and automatically, I bet you anything, if you go to this channel's Facebook page and look, I'll bet automatically that you'll see people going down the list, probably tens of thousands of comments long by now, half of them talking about how he deserved to die, half of them talking about this, that, or the other, and it's just stupidity going back and forth. And you know what? This is all of our fate if we don't stop giving ourselves a prostate exam. This is us right here, because they will come for us one by one by one. That's how they do it, folks. That's how they're taking the firearms away from the people, right? They're not showing up in UN trucks and going block to block, right? They're doing it one at a time. And ain't nobody defending these folks. All these veterans that lost their firearms rights, how many people do you know of that actually done something? Again, when I say do something, that means something beyond sitting behind a keyboard. How many people do you know that actually done something to help protect the rights of those that gave the most for this country, right? And I'm not, again, there's another big debate about vets and whether or not they fought for freedom or not. And no, I'm obligated to appreciate their service. I am obligated to that, by God, actually. But I do not have to be obligated to the government that put them there to begin with, okay? That's where I personally stand. I support the troops. I respect the troops. I thank them more than what words can do, okay? But don't just do me a favor. Don't tell me you fought for freedom, because you didn't fight for freedom. Let's be real, okay? That we have to be real. We have to be honest here. You didn't fight for freedom. You fought bankers' wars, corporations' wars, industries' wars. You didn't fight for our freedom, okay? Our freedom hasn't been fought for since the Civil War, okay? That was the last time freedom was fought for in this country. Oh my God, there's another 2, 3, or 10 groups of people. Oh my God, what did he just say? No, we haven't. We haven't had a war involving a fight for freedom since the Civil War. The Civil War, for those that don't know, was about states' rights, not about slavery. Okay? Slavery was just one little bitty slice of what was going on there. You had slavery, you had currency, you had a list of things that the Civil War was fought about. But you're pretty much only told about the slavery. I wonder why that is. Oh, yeah, that's right, to keep that divide. To keep that divide. You know, that South was the ones that actually had given firearm ownership rights to the African Americans, to the slaves, right? And they knew. They had several heated discussions on this about whether or not they should, because they knew once they armed the African American people, they were no longer slaves. They were free men. And so there was a lot of discussion about this before they actually made that move. But see, we don't get to talk about this stuff, the important stuff, the facts, the truth. Why? Because they keep us blindsided with bull crap. And that's exactly what's going on with this whole flag thing. It's what's going on with all the stupid little itty-bitty arguments that you see. It's behind your local news station getting on Facebook and making a post and then saying, tell us what you think, right? I seen that start, folks. I seen that start, and I knew what it was the very first time I seen KMOV do it. I remember it very clearly. I catch these things. Maybe it's my passion for psychology, I don't know, but I catch these things. And I seen when KMOV did it the first time, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be a good trend. Now we just turned, you know, our own social networks, our own social network pages to, my God. And it's insane, folks. And I have watched this society fall through the floor ever since this whole reality crap started, 2006. Which wasn't quite the reality quite yet, but it wasn't long after that. So basically, like I say, you know, we have to understand that we're all different human beings and that we all are going to have differences. And that's okay. It's okay. Even down to some very serious topics, right? I couldn't tell you how many atheist friends I have, right? Doesn't bother me. As long as they don't tell me that I can't worship God, we're good. We're good. The moment they tell me that, they're going to be in some deep trouble. Because it ain't going to go so well. Not as far as, you know. I think there's core things that we need to hold on to, right? But we also have to understand that we are only accountable for ourselves. Okay? So we need to focus on that. We need to worry about that. And I'm not saying just worry about ourselves, but when it comes to being, in a mind of critique, so to speak, we need to focus on ourselves, not everybody else. We don't need to be talking about what Jane's wearing today. We don't need to be talking about who John slept with last weekend. Right? It's not what's important. You want to know what's important? More important than somebody hanging a flag upside down? Starving children in this country that have to go to bed hungry. Okay? How about those children that not only have to go to bed hungry, but bed consists of the back seat of the minivan because parents lost their home? What about those? Who are fighting for those people? Oh, you'll get a ton of people fighting over a piece of cloth. Where the hell is the fighting for humanity?